And we have seen those Ricky pickups a couple of times so far in this event, and slow going, and then all of a sudden you get that shard and you become probably the single most annoying hero on the map. So see how it plays out, if that's the direction that they look to take it in. I would hope so, ET, and that they're not trying any funny business, because I think the one time we did see a carry Ricky in this event, it was not really great. So, you know, don't rock the boat. Play it where it's normally played. Get that benefit, as 5RAT do get their hands on the Jakiro after all.
Yeah, slightly picked out of order, but they needed to steal the Pango, so they go for it. But again, it's this idea that I don't know if 5RAT really have it here, where it's just being a little bit too comfortable in losing the lanes versus what feels like a better team right now. It's a dangerous strat to play for, surely. And now TSM kind of have to do this. They have to ban as if this Fen is going to be their carry, even though I think maybe there's a smidge of flexibility still. Saberlight just takes it, the throwaway. We could see as well just maybe the Ricky move up and down position. I still think Ricky's a much better 5 than he is a 4, but that's where TSM are always going to keep us guessing a little bit here. Regardless of its position, though, it is just a very, very good Ricky game. There's not a lot of lockdown for 5RAT. It plays fantastically versus the Pango. Just, again, might be a little bit of a miserable game here for Kits, but can't be a doomer too quickly here. We still got a lot of Dota to play, but that's also where I think 5RAT should probably ban those more carry-like offlaners for Saberlight. So that way, if it does just end up being a Tomato Sven, you don't allow Saberlight to become that secondary win objective, because there's also Alina. It's where TSM could very easily become that tri-core lineup where, okay, you killed one core, you blew everything, you used the Dawnbreaker ulti, you used Pango ulti, you shot him, but there's two more cores to cover that legwork. It's where a 5 right now also need to look for that ultra carry. But Dawnbreaker Pango will never be able to do what a Morphling or a Void or a Shadow Fiend can do. It's where I think 5 Red almost need to double down on their team fight in their last pick just to have any hope of fighting that TSM Tricore.
We'll see what direction they look in when their pick comes up, because they do have last overall on the 5RAT side. So they'll get to survey the entirety of the landscape before they make their choice. For now, though, they are looking to ban out some offlane options. They take the Legion Commander out of the pool, so you were talking about that a little bit, right? Saberlight tends to play on heroes that aren't just utility guys, aren't just initiators. He is going to look to do some damage and find some farm in the LC. Definitely a hero who can do all of those things. So 5-rate ban it away. TSM will get one last carry ban onto DNM's Naga Siren, and I'll tell you what, that is a very thin pool that 5-rate are going to be looking at now, regardless of whether they have last pick or not.
Yeah, 5 bans on your carries, it's kind of tough. It definitely is. And really, it's one of those situations where the Ricky as well just makes it a tough build to front. Where are you going to find your hero that probably wants to build a Pike, has to kind of outrange the Lina? I mean, is it just Sniper? Is that going to be our final option here? It's where you have to tick so many odd boxes here to go up versus every core matchup from TSM that there really isn't a perfect hero to counter everything. And I do wonder what they're going to pick for Saberlight, because, of course, there's a Dawnbreaker. That shifts you maybe slightly away from picking up a hero like the Enigma, but is still certainly an option. It's also where support duo-wise, I think it probably should be the 4 Ricky, so range would probably help them out. And
Hmm.
yeah, they say we're just going to go for the NP again. And even though the game was pretty much over at that point, we did get to see the level 20 leash talent work in effect versus that Pango, which certainly made his lane that much more difficult. But again, is another pick that steers 5-Rat away from a lot of carries that they might have looked for, but now they have to pick something to not only go up against the Ricky Cloud and outranging Lina, but now that has to lane versus an NP, it feels like a hero that's not in the game right now.
Yeah, you're going to have to make a sacrifice at some point. You can no longer tick every box necessary with that carry pick. So if you're 5-Rat, uh, what are you okay sacrificing? What is DNM okay sort of being weaker in? Well, certainly not farming strength, as they do get the Terror Blade on the board, and oh, honestly, that's not a bad choice here. They are going to need a lot of time to build him up, but if they can buy that time, the TB is going to be pretty much the strongest hero in the field.
Yeah, and classic Scotty Buyer is going to be able to muddle his way through the lane. Of course, even when you have meta, trading into NP still doesn't feel that great. It's where 5RAT really need to make sure to finish those kills. Can't be too happy just trading away their mana, their HP to a hero like the NP that just TP's back to TP's back to lane, is full HP, and then you're the ones without anything left in the tank. It's where they certainly have quite a bit of a game ahead of them here. And then of course, that chaos that Ari is going to eventually unfold onto the map. It's gonna be scary to watch. And again, gonna have to be a very clean game for Kits because one or two kills, one or two deaths where he's unable to do anything, and then especially in that mid game where if he gets scouted out by that sleeping dart, doesn't get the roll up, doesn't get to react, just gets chain stunned out and then dies first. It's where there is so much pressure on him in a situation where he's also going to have a pretty darn bad lane. So I don't know. It's real tough. TSM just have a very stable, very robust lineup and should probably win at least two of their three lanes, probably. So, 5RAT, they've got a tall bill ahead.
I will say at least one thing looking at the 5-rat lineup compared to game one. Um, it's not going to be all on Kits for initiation, right? Moo's on the Hoodwink this time around as opposed to the Dark Willow does give them at least one other person who can make the plays to get them into the fight, but who do you fight into, right? Because the TSM lineup is still dangerous, but at least it's not we have a Rolling Thunder to initiate and that's it, right?
Hmm. Definitely so. And, well, game's in front of us. If you're a 5RAT fan, can only hope for the best here, and the DNM's going to carry it out with his classic hero.
Mhm.
And really, at the end of the day, didn't get to summarize very much what Speed's up to, but gonna have to see what he's gonna do with this Dawnbreaker. He's got an interesting lane ahead of himself. I think that's pretty much the nicest thing you can say there, just because, again, this is something kind of out of the wheelhouse that 5RAT have done before, but if they can somehow find their way and are easily able to connect onto that CM, maybe that's where they find their target. I just don't see a good way to kill Sven, though, in that lane.
Hmm. We'll see how they go about it. They do go for the early smoke, trying to push out a little bit faster, whereas TSM, mostly split at the moment, so maybe there's a chance that they could get onto the Ricky here, but Ari, well, we'll see if he even goes in that direction, because right now he's taking a trip further along the south, and 5RAT just decide to straight up cross the river. They're going to drop a ward down here, perhaps. Booz has got to wait a couple of seconds, because had a little bit of the transfer cooldown there, but there it is. Ward will be planted. Sentry ward actually thrown behind the camp there as well. So it's trying to maybe take away the ability to stack up that camp, and well, I suppose, yeah, right? There's a Lina, there's a Sven, there's an Aegis Prophet. All three of them realistically uh, could enjoy those stacks if they are made for them. So just try and prevent that for at least a couple of minutes. Hope that TSM don't get over there and, excuse me, immediately deward that.
Well, yeah, and certainly, maybe the Ricky's not the most ideal stacker, but I feel like Saberlight's the type of guy sends a treant, every once in a while
Mm-hmm.
just to stack the lane. Doesn't need all three of them, all four of them. Could certainly see that efficiency, but we'll see if that ends up really mattering all too much here. But I think more importantly, seeing how those first few levels play out for the Jakiro and the Terrorblade, just being able to stop any aggression from that Nature's Prophet, even seeing if DNM greeds out and just gets the reflection on level 1 to make those trades a little bit closer for the Jakiro. It's tough to say, but those early levels are everything for 5RAT.
Oh, we're gonna have to wait a little longer to see what the choice will be from DNM, as we do have a pause coming out here. Apparently a little bit of lag on the 5-rat side, so well, here's hoping it subsides pretty quickly and we can get into it, and we'll see what the choice will be for the Terrorblade. In the meantime, well, taking a look at some of the other lanes here, Kits versus Gryle, Pango versus Lina. I mean, for the most part, Kits has done a pretty solid job. We have rarely seen him just outright beaten in this middle lane ET, but laning against the Lina is not going to be an easy time.
Yeah, and again, early levels, it's all you can hope for. You are just going to get right-clicked 4 or 5 times for every move you decide to make. And actually, it's bottom where, well, he does get the reflection level 1, but did not expect AB1 to die. Just ended up getting a little bit too far up and eating many two right clicks on the way back under his tier 1 and goes down extremely early. He did not get to spend very much of his mana before he died either, so not one of those value deaths that we sometimes say with the Jakiro.
Saberlight did 600 damage. He didn't even come to lane with the sort of armor reduction, right? He's just got the robe instead. Because now, well, now he's got a TP home. And DOT won't finish him off, but yeah, that might have been a little bit too far forward. Body blocks are coming in from these treants, and he's going down again.
Oh, man.
And Saberlight even gets the kill there, so... Well, this is not the way that you wanted this lane to start. DNM at least can find some extra last hits with this, with the meta up, but Jakiro's kind of used to being the one doing the bullying, but not really the case so far.
It just overextends way too far, and the DNM's in a solo lane for the time being, one that's pushing into the Nature's Prophet, and
Man.
now it's your turn to get body blocked. Saberlight's just too quick with it, and then you end up spending half of your mana running away from him, and again, until your Jakiro gets back, can't do a small camp pull for you, doesn't even have a small camp to pull, so this lane does not get easier, and of course, the big drawback of that Terrorblade, maybe the lane's contestable when you have meta, but when you don't, it is just free farm for the NP. At least they get a kill top, though. They get a trade with the level 2 tick up from the Dawnbreaker and the Hoodwink, so play is made elsewhere.
Able to get something at this point. Just stop the bleeding a little bit, but... Well, bottom lane, they're going to continue to have some problems, but if they can find stuff elsewhere, if their Lina can just... Or excuse me, not their Lina. Their Pango can survive mid, then 5RAT will maybe limp their way out of the laning stage, but just got to try to survive.
Nope, definitely a difficult draft that they've decided to execute here, but well, we'll have to see, and well, this is before the NP is even trying to aggressively TP around, but I think this time as well, Saberlight certainly TP'd and got a little bit too aggressive on the map last game, so I could see him going for slightly slower play this time around. He certainly has a much easier lane to subside in as well, where I don't think we're going to see him throw away his lead nearly as easily this time around. But again, we'll have to see, because anytime he does rotate out, well, before, you know, you're giving free farm to a lifestealer, and certainly that has its own drawbacks, but giving time and XP to a Terrorblade solo, that could become a problem that snowballs pretty darn quick.
Yeah, you're not going to have that same sort of freedom to just leave DNM alone, which very rarely do you ever have that freedom against DNM anyway, so you're just kind of defaulting back to the usual way you play up against this guy in particular, but we shall see what Saberlight does, how he looks to play this out in terms of his pace, and if they try to get aggressive more with this Riki, because, I mean, liked what we've seen so far, and this is normally the part of the game where we always talk about Riki being at his weakest, so if Ari can keep it up without overextending, then you are just flying your way through what's supposed to be a problem area.
Yeah, and you can already see it, and even though, as we talked about before, Marcy's certainly been nerfed a little bit into the ground, already the Riki somehow still provides less, and that's why Ari is going for a creep cut right now, because before, you know, you have that more dynamic play to be made, you have a little bit of lifesteal to give even to Saberlight, but now you can't do any of that. And then back top, look at Mumi had to run back, gets taken down, Speed's now level 4, has so much mana as well, man's got 5 mangoes, okay Speed, but just great stuff in this top lane. As long as they can connect onto the CM, I still think this Sven is kind of above them, but it's great kills and great XP.
Yeah, Tomato's farm is maybe not going to be realistically disrupted all that much, but there's a Crystal Maiden in lane. As we sort of mention every time we see it, there really isn't a duo in the game that can't take out a Crystal Maiden if they are focusing her down 2v1.
Yeah, and then, well, you get the unfortunate aspect. You kill a support, well, he always has the right to TP mid, fill up the bottle of Brile, so making the almost retroactively Kits' lane a little bit more difficult here. And the supports will certainly be rotating for those 6-minute runes, and matters a whole lot more for the Pango right now than the Lina. Brile's sitting real nice HP-wise.
Gets hit by an LSA, takes a couple of right clicks. That's always going to kind of be the threat in this situation. Speaking of threats, yep, that's Moon Meander taken down again. Another 2v1 onto the Crystal Maiden. Another scenario where the Sven has limited usefulness in that fight. And, I mean, it's all been kills onto the Crystal Maiden. Those are quite literally the only kills that 5RAT have, but they'll take them.
Oh, and look at this in mid.
Yeah, they're looking for
Ryle.
more. This is
Okay.
far more than a Crystal Maiden kill if they can get it, but Kits is going to start to run out of time on the Rolling Thunder, and they haven't done enough damage just yet, but the Swashbuckle is going to be there. They do finish the job. AB1. Okay. In with the DOT, but Saberlight will simply TP himself out, but that's Ari rotating in. That's Saberlight using both TPs to try and get into position there, and not only did you not get the rune, Kits has it bottled up, it is a haste, but you lost your mid laner.
Yeah, and that was honestly great plays from both mid laners there. Just Kits knowing that he had to roll a little bit earlier. He just realized the situation he was in just a second too late. And then Bryle, he went for the LSA. He knew what was coming, just doesn't come out fast enough. And a great play, I mean, perfectly executed. And then back top, well, Moon Meander, he's been out of the lane for a good 2 minutes now. Tomato runs out of supplies. It's where speed, investing so much in regen, kind of pays itself. And now, okay, 5RAT, they're bouncing back in these lanes a little bit.
5-2 in terms of the kill count. Net worth starting to tick up on their cores. Not quite catching up to Saberlight and Bryle just yet, but progress is being made. That gap is being closed bit by bit, and well, I don't know. In terms of immediate reprisal coming out from TSM, not really sure where it would come from right now. I mean, you do still have the Nature's Prophet. He could TP in at any moment, so in theory they've got that, but there's no damage on Saberlight at the moment. So if they do make a move, it's not going to count for much as Kits. This is an interesting decision. That's so... Oh, God. You're going to Solar Guardian in. They really do want to turn this into a fight. Saberlight TPing in now as well, but look at that. They get the Bushwhack onto 3. Moose just shuts it all down. Bryle and Saberlight fall. It's only the support still standing. And there's not really a whole lot they can do here. They will glyph. That's going to buy them a little bit of time, but now Moon was hit up by the Bushwhack again, but Kits doesn't really have the mana to go all in for that kill attempt. But they got the ones that mattered, and we were talking up Moose last game in a loss on his Dark Willow, but now on the Hoodwink, there's just even more he can do to help out.
No, just a more immediate pressure, easier to play with his ulti as well. Just feels pretty darn good. And, well, the retort is happening, and, well, Kits, yeah, in the smoke screen, cannot do much there, and does need to be careful, because now that mid tower is going to get quite the beating from that Lina. But then, back bottom, Saberlight eats another death, so they find their play to be made elsewhere, and still, I think 5RAT are really happy. And then you realize for TSM, okay, they've got the Tricore. They've got a situation in which 5RAT need to be so careful with how many spells they use per core, but everybody needs time. Everybody needs farm. It's where TSM are and have been much more reliant on winning and being successful in these lanes. If 5RAT do start to out-teamfight you, well, then the catch-up time just isn't going to be there. All 3 cores on TSM need the farm. They need their items. Even the Riki needs his item. It's where Moonmeander is the only one who really could care less. And sure, a lot of that's going to get funneled onto the Sven, but somebody has to get sacked. Dota doesn't let you farm with 3 heroes. It's where 5RAT have that balance just a little bit more in their lineup naturally.
The tier 1 tower bot does end up having to be denied by Saberlight, so at least they don't give up quite as much gold, and now Saberlight is going to work on this stacked camp. He was, between himself and Ari, able to get a couple of stacks on it. He doesn't really take this all that quickly. This Maelstrom is not really close to being finished off just yet, but at least he's got the Treants to absorb some aggro, and slowly but surely he'll work his way through it, as we do have another pause.
My keyboard is not
Yeah,
working.
would have been more lagged. You know, always spams the same voice lines whenever AB1 says that. So I wonder if AB1 is the one who is lagging, or if it's more likely Moose. But you know, who's to say? But I think 5RAT got pretty much exactly what they want. Again, forcing Saberlight to rotate just a little bit too early means that NP has an even more difficult time coming back to the lane. And now DNM gets to jungle with Max Conjure Image, almost a full Yasha in his inventory. Terrorblade has no real reason to slow down here. And then the real reason, or one of the aspects why they picked it, is when it comes to sending those illusions down the lane, TSM don't have a great way of killing them. It's just always going to be a split push play gnawing at them, something that Saberlight eventually will have to respond to. Just feels like they're getting pretty much exactly what they want. They want to make another play right now, though. They have all their ultimates. They've got Solar Guardian. They've got Rolling Thunder. They don't have Sharpshooter, but, you know, probably not going to miss that too much if they do connect with the other 2 spells. But feels like 5RAT are going to want to smoke momentarily here, maybe after
My
10-minute rune.
keyboard is not working.
And we'll see how it plays out in just a moment as the game is going to be resumed and see where Moose goes. As of right now, okay, just going to do a little bit of stacking. Checking out the rune, as you said. We'll see. What are they going to get here? Invis. Okay. Kits with an Invis rune and maybe a second or two left on the Arcane if he does pop it now, but he actually goes for the camps instead, so not looking to sort of double up on the rune timing. That does mean that the Sven gets to kind of just walk away from the lane, and that's cause for concern, I suppose. He's not exactly a TB like there is on the other side, but you don't want to let Tomato farm for free either.
Yeah, and he's certainly been under slightly more pressure in his lane, but that's also where when the Lina nukes out the mid wave, somebody always has to respond. Otherwise, it's very apparent that the Pango is making a move, and I think that's why Kits just decides to stay in his lane. Doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself, even though back towards bottom, there are some treants doing some chip damage, but that's where I think this time around 5RAT are always going to be looking to slam their ults in your face. Whenever TSM are looking for those early towers, that push for Saberlight is that much more difficult. And it's also why I think he's going for the Maelstrom, just saying, need to prioritize on my own game, probably need a BKB a little bit faster. The Orchid Rush would delay that to 18, 20-minute timing, and something that I might not want to think about right now.
Yeah, we haven't really seen them just pushing out and looking for fights and pickoffs in the way that the Orchid would help with, so a macro-oriented game. Okay, Saberlight takes some of that stack, leaves off the rest for Tomato, who popped the God Strength to get through both that and the Ancients, so he's working his way towards the Echo Saber. Not the most intimidating of builds here early on, but in terms of farming speed, it is going to do some very nice stuff for the Sven, and well, at this stage, I mean, BT, neither side is really looking to play all that aggressively. It really has turned into a farming focus.
Yeah, and a farming focus that both teams really are happy with. And top, well, see if they get the kill onto Moon. This is what they were kind of been unable to get, and now, yeah.
Freezing field.
Well, welcome to Crystal Maiden speed. Not much you can do about that one, and then Moose, yeah, he TP's out as well, and they defend their tier 1s, but the reason why they're sticking in these lanes as long as they are is because they know as soon as they move that TB out towards top and make that CM kill a little bit more likely, well, then the trade happens with the Nature's Prophet instantly. So they stay in their lanes and they press themselves pretty thin, and it's why they get punished top, but they're doing it because they don't want to get rid of any of these tier 1s. They want to keep them alive as long as humanly possible, but because of that, you press yourself a little bit too thin. Kits is locked in his place in the mid lane. Now AB1's moved over there, so maybe we see a little bit more rotation from that Pango, but you're going to need Kits top if you want to make that same play.
And you're going to get clowned on just a little bit, because even with a tower there, you're not supposed to lose a 2v1 against a Crystal Maiden. That's just, it's not the way that's supposed to play out, but it's an unfortunate kill to give up there, but it's not going to hurt them too significantly, and they are looking to make the move. Kits and the two supports are rotating their way over, and if they could run into Tomato, this would be big. He did pop the God Strength, so he's going to hit a little bit harder if he does try to stand and fight, but for now, he's just trying to get himself out of here. He's going to pop the pig pole, looking for a little bit of extra move speed, but he moves right into the ice path, and nobody's coming to help him.
Yeah, but look at the lanes. This is what the cost is. Both side lanes now need to be TP'd on, and 5RAT got to be so careful with the response here. And Bryle, well, this would be a great turnaround, and I don't think Bryle's going to be able to turn for the Laguna. The damage comes through, but isn't fast enough. And now, okay, if they made their choice, they defend the mid tower, they get the Lina kill, they get the exact trade they want, but Saberlight's already in onto bottom. And oh, Kits, onto the CM.
Might be a little too far there, yeah. That's twice now that Moonmander's been able to sort of play him a little bit. He did just get the root down onto Jakiro as well, so AB1 is going to feed his life as well. And that makes the plays that they had just pulled off there, getting the Sven and the Lina, that little bit less valuable, handing some of the gold back. And now they're probably going to lose this tower. Yeah, they were able to pop the glyph, but with Bryle respawning and coming back in with a fresh creep wave, feels like they're going to be able to get it, although Booz is going to make the initiation. Here comes Speed in, but he jumps right into the LSA. The Laguna Blade's going to be there as well. The silence comes out. Speed's going to get taken down. Whoa, 5RAT. The execution is slipping just a tiny little bit, but it's that little bit that allows TSM a way back in.
Yeah, and sure, mid-tier 1 stays alive now. The Pango gets to walk to his lane, so his tower's not going to be taken, but it's those little tick-ups that you have to be concerned with, and 5RAT giving a little bit more time over to their opponents, who again, will become the Tricore. If they get the time, if they get the map, it's why they're gunning for these tier 1s. It gets busted open, there's enough space for Lina's Fen NP to farm. It's where it does become very troublesome, but Owen look top. They do kill Moon Meander, but the TB,
Yep.
oh no.
Much better target for the trade-off as the 1-for-1 happens, and Moon even grabbed a bounty before he went down there, just before he dies, so he gets a little bit of extra gold. Says at this point, I've done my job. I've forced 3 of you to rotate onto me for the kill. You lose your Terrorblade. He is going to be very happy with that trade-out. The question is, do they get away cleanly here? Because this is Kits TPing in here underneath this tree, and the Rolling Thunder is available, so it might get a little bit dicey. Of course, if he does roll forward, this is 3 heroes who could turn around. God's Strength was only just recently popped, so maybe Kits can catch them, but maybe ET he doesn't want to.
Yeah, you would maybe like a stab at Saberlight, but without Moose having a TP and without the Hoodwink, I feel like this is another situation where 5RAT just have to stop these
My keyboard is
2v3s
not
that
working.
somehow keep on transpiring.
My
They just
keyboard is
are
not
making too many
working.
individual plays or duo plays, and yeah, Kits cancels his TP, knows that, yeah, not a fight that he wants to create for his opponents. Because too many times now has that perfect opportunity happened for TSM that 5RAT have just given them. It just the efforts getting used against them almost. But now, similar position to where we were. Still waiting for our ultimates. They have Rolling Thunder. They've got the Sharpshooter. They would need to make a play with the supports in the Pango, but this is where no Solar Guardian speed is not going to want to get involved for a little bit here.
The items are starting to come online. Echo Saber finished off for Tomato. The BKB is now up and running for Bryle, so we did get him see him get caught out once or twice there in that middle lane. That is far less likely now that he's got the magic immunity to work with. However, if you're 5RAD, now you have a little bit of an objective, right? Early BKB pickup from the Lina. Try and force out some charges as quickly as you can, although right now, they just need to make sure DNM doesn't get spotted because Braw's going to run right into him. There's a Laguna. Can he get off a Sunder? Not really. The BKB prevents him from finding a target, and okay, yeah, Ari has to kind of jump in there and sacrifice himself for the cause, but again, I mean, support for Terrorblade is a trade that they will take over and over again.
Well, they get exactly what they want. They are pinging out the word. They know what's going on here, and the D word will eventually come from AB1, even though they're even fighting for it still. And AB1, there's a DD Rune Lina still here, and yeah, you're going to get 3-shot as well as the Asos reveal from Saberlight, making Kits a little bit more nervous, and, well, the vision stands up. Just, again, 5RAT not appraising what their opponents have, not looking for a fight, just looking for the return vision, but a fight came to them.
This is a rather massive swing in momentum. 5RAT had been working with a minimal lead, but a lead all the same, right? Somewhere in the 1 to 2k range. All of a sudden, they're down by 5,000 here as Ari, oh boy, showing some fancy footwork there, drops down the silence, uses the tricks of the trade to get back into the river, and Kits is able to get the ward out of the way, but not able to pursue for a kill.
No, instead, just walks away, and man, Ari's had such a clean game so far on this Ricky. Still, only the 1 death to his name, making this hero look still pretty darn broken. And I think until we see that Blink Dagger finished up on Kits, we could see 5RAT just immediately dodge out any fight. Just until they have that initiation tool, they can't afford to just stick around standing, just waiting. The Rolling Thunder already needs to be going for them to really look for any more committals. It's also where speed, he's got a full Deso completed, but no spell immunity, still very susceptible to that silence. It's where those big team fights are just not something that 5RAT are ready for just yet. No BKBs either in the works, so they're certainly playing for that later timing.
And I mean, oh, there's the dart. Kits in some
no.
trouble. LSA connects. Laguna's going to be there, and that's a free and easy kill. And Saberlight, I mean, he's got the Gleipnir. He threw it out there. It hits onto Moose. Ari able to jump onto him with the Blink Strike. They'll find a second kill for Bryle, and yeah, without BKBs, without the Rolling Thunder already going, what do? LSA stops him in their tracks. Gleipnir does the same. The smoke screen even just shuts him down, so Their options are so extremely limited right now, ET, and you take a look at the kill count, 12 to 12, you're thinking, okay, you know, sure, TSM were able to ramp up the aggression a little bit, but we should still be even, not even remotely, right? 7K net worth lead, or deficit, I guess, looking at it from 5RAT's perspective, but you're the team that has the Terrorblade. You are not supposed to be down 8K pre-20 minutes.
Yeah, and all of this has been in the 4v5. There has not really been any involvement from your Sven. Tomato has just completely retreated to his side, even finishes an early BKB because he knows that's the only way he can die. So I'm not going to die on my side of the map. I'll play completely by myself. If I need a Saberblade, I'll call. But until then, just plays made with the rest of the team. And it's just simply this sleep dart in the LSA combo that will pretty much kill anyone still. And you're waiting for that Blink Dagger on Kits, but until then, 5RAT aren't getting a team fight. And because of that, the entire lineup is stalling out. It's why Moose and AB1 are so poor right now. They just haven't been able to make a successive play in a good 5 minutes at this point. They're just kind of stuck waiting. And Kits, of course, Blink Dagger's not too far away. Pretty cheap item, only maybe 200-300 gold out, but then we need to see an immediate change. This next daytime needs to be huge for 5RAT.
Yeah. Gotta try and do something here as, well, that's a sleep dart on the illusion, but not gonna hit them all, and it is on such a short cooldown as well, that dart already back up, so TSM are gonna look to make a move. 4-man smoke. They scanned out as well, so they know somebody is farming up here on this high ground. What is their plan to get up the ramp, though? Are they just gonna straight up run it? Yes, they are. Moon Meander just bites the bullet. They're gonna jump their way in. They've got AB1 locked down. They get a stun onto Speed, though, and that immediately switches up their target. Speed taken down. AB1 falls as well, and, well, you're not really supposed to just be able to do that. They just run up the ramp, don't really care about who sees them, and find the kill, and now maybe they get a little bit more, because Kits is in some trouble. He is now stuck inside of the Sprout and the smoke screen. That is not a fair combo. Just able to trap him up in there. Doesn't really have any sort of quelling blade. He's got one in the quick buy now, but it's a little bit too late. They take him down, and now they'll take Roche pretty much for free.
Yeah, and why the Nature's Prophet feels so darn good. You can always swing for this objective, and now I give this Aegis over to the Lina, just because Bryle's the one really in the scariest spots usually, but also great BKB from Bryle, just knowing he has to be early there. He can only be early in that situation, otherwise the fight could blow up in his face, but they're just using this Riki so well. It's been a while, and we've seen a few Rikis in the tournament already, but no one using it to this effect just feels almost impossible to play against. And again, with 5RAT having to wait for this Blink Dagger on the Pango before they can really make a successive play, the supports have no gold, so there's only one Force Staff. AB1 is the save right now, and if he is ever in the wrong position, if he ever whiffs, well, that's just the end of it. Saberlight, though, okay, in Saberlight fashion, has given his life away.
Yeah, it's trying to do maybe a little bit too much there as he does get picked off, but to the point about the Riki, yeah, the previous attempts that we've seen at it, the sleep dart has turned it from a useless hero into a strong one. In this instance, he started strong. Now he's just a hero they simply can't deal with. So going from strength to strength there. Obviously, Saberlight's death is a little bit of a setback, giving up 750 gold, but TSM still have a sizable lead. They just need to make sure that they don't sort of turn this into some chained losses, but they are looking for something up top. They brought both the supports in. Bryle is here as well, but who do they actually target? There's just so many people on the field. They've already lost Moon Meander, but they are looking to get onto DNM. Can he get out of this stun and find a Sunder? No, he can't. Bryle will take him down. AB1's going to fall off to the side. Kit's now trying to get away. Solar Guardian's going to come in defensively, but he's right into the root, right into the sleep dart. Bryle turns around, gets the right clicks in. And 5RAT just can't really seem to get anything going. They push into that fight with, I think initially the numbers were 5v3 with just Bryle and the two supports there, but it's just not enough. They can't find the kills fast enough to take the fight cleanly.
Yeah, they just have to push in much too deep, and that was a moment where they had the Scotty finished on the Terrorblade, so they felt like they could actually take that fight, but then just playing into the DD Lina just isn't enough life to play around with, and then Tomato just basically bodies you, sits on top of you with his own BKB, says, well, there's no option at this stage, and DNM without a BKB of his own just yet, it just, again, no options. And then they try to involve speed at the way end, but without a BKB, he just gets slept, and then he gets chain stunned, and then even though you've got this Ag Shard, you just can't get started with the Dawnbreaker. It just is an almost impossible team fight. And the net worth lead just keeps on getting bigger and bigger, and the distance between the cores continues to widen. And there's still 2 minutes left of this Aegis. TSM can still just body you across the map here. And of course, with meta, they still lose the fight without meta. There's absolutely nothing DNM can do to help you.
Just got to sit back and try to wait, but while they wait, TSM can really establish just an ironclad grip on the map here. As yep, tier 2 tower should not be lasting much longer. At the same time, you got a trio of heroes pushing top. They're going to try to hit up DNM while the meta is offline, and well, there's going to be the dart, there's going to be the stun, there's going to be the root, there's going to be the freezing field, and DNM had absolutely no chance. May as well have taken his hands off the keyboard, and now AB1 is in some trouble as well. Force Staff pushes him away initially, but not even close to enough to live.
Yeah, and you can see in TSM just the experience is showing. They know that, okay, he's not up here by himself. There's no way, oh, that kill was maybe a little bit too easy. We're going to try in the trees. There's always 2-3 heroes running out past the already dead ones. Always looking for the guy behind. Always looking for that next play. And they continue. Now Saberlight's chasing Speed out of bottom. And Speed has to be so careful with how he times his TP. But little does he know, Ari's already collapsed on him. And then the sleep dart. And now, well, you're going to get sprouted, clouded. Okay, kind of mess up the sprout, making this a little bit more difficult. But Brawl makes it easy.
Damage in there, they find the kill, Speed taken down. Really has not gotten the chance to do much this game. He's at 3, 5, and 5, which it's not the worst stat line in the world, ET, but we're talking about this Desolator some like 8 to 10 minutes ago and haven't seen the impact of it. He just hasn't gotten the chance to put it to much use. His kits does get hit up in the top lane. He is going to be able to roll himself out. Could just TP himself home now as well, but everyone on the side of 5RAT is just getting put into this defensive position as Moon Meander, he is getting hit up a little bit here. They will be able to take him down, but now do they get away cleanly? Because Tomato is going to pop the ult. Saberlight comes in, drops the Gleipnir down onto multiple heroes. DNM trying to hold the Sunder for as long as he can, but now he's surrounded. Now he's silenced. He's getting away, though. Not actually able to chase onto him just yet. Tomato still wants to go in, but there's going to be your Solar Guardian. That's going to push everybody away. Do they really want to chase this? No, they do not. They are going to back off, but here comes Bryle pushing into the fight. Popping the BKB. They're going to get the Sleep Dart down onto DNM. They root him up as well. They silence him, so there will be no Sunder. And ET, I mean, 5RAT, they had dodged the bullet. They were safe. They could have just backed off, but they tried to chase for I don't really know what, and that gives Bryle the angle to just come in and cut him off at the knees.
Yeah, it just gets in between. They're trying to punish the fact that Tomato didn't have his BKB, but the only reason TSM force as hard as they do is because they know that there's no Rolling Thunder. Your Pango's not really a scary threat, and the rest of the lineup is still too strong. And again, execution-wise, man, oh man, nothing has looked as good as it has for TSM and BTS Pro Series. They're just executing on a completely different level.
Unbelievably impressive here so far as they are pushing their way onto the tier 2 tower. Gonna be able to take that up in the top lane. Moves, meanwhile, trying to get a play onto Bryle, and that is a quick kill. But now do they get away? Because well, the rest of the lineup is slowly but surely pushing their way forward. Saberlight looking for the damage onto Moves, but very quickly realizing I don't really have as much backup as I thought I did, and now he's going to get punished. There's the Ice Path. The Rolling Thunder comes in, and Saberlight gets taken down, so he and Bryle maybe just try to push that advantage a little bit too far too soon. And those are two massive kills that 5RAT desperately needed, but the problem is, it's more than that they need, right? All of their cores are still well below the TSM counterparts, so they've got to try and keep going. Keep farming or keep finding kills. They're not really able to do anything about it right now, but at least they bought time.
Nope. Buying time. It's the name of the game with this TB. If 5RAT are looking to win this game, it's probably going to be in that 35 to 40 minute window where DNM has way more items. But look bottom. They're making plays, and there's the sentry. It will dispel it, and they will have to settle. Going for DNM,
Maybe they
though.
won't. Hold on, yeah. They're just going to take him down, and man, oh man, have we seen a Sunder in this game? I don't think we have.
And then Tomato, back to business. He just had a DD run in that situation with the God Strength. Is hidden for 800. Finished the Daedalus
My
as well.
keyboard is
And
not
5
working.
Rider Paper. There's just nothing. They're not that tanky versus Tomato. And then the one drawback of this Fen that you're trying to play around, that being that he needs the God Strength to actually play, it's just always been a fight that Tomato wants. Never has he been forced into a situation where he's tapped for his strength. He is always at max power. He's never put himself in a bad spot so far in this game. And well, we'll see how kind Roche is to 5RAT, because TSM, well, they might even just look to pester your high ground at this rate. There's no real reason for them to go anywhere with 3 heroes dead. But DNM is still gunning for this BKB. The Terrorblade needs the BKB to survive, but even then, I'm just scared that he's going to get 3 BKBs shoved in his face and then right-click to death with how strong TSM's cores have been.
Yeah, his problem is really twofold at this point. He needs a BKB because he's getting stun locked to hell, but in the situations where he wasn't stunned, I think twice now he's been sort of fighting the 1v1 against Bryle, and then Bryle's BKB prevents his Sunder anyway, so even with the Magic community on your side, that may not necessarily save you, but tell you what, ET, it sure as hell is going to be better than having no Magic community to work with whatsoever, but don't know if it'll be the sort of cure-all that they need as the smokes are getting dangerously close to each other. I think Moose may have actually popped already, but it was Ari who popped it, so they weren't 100% sure. They do have the sentry up now, however, so they come forward again. They will be spotted in the daytime vision, but TSM are ramping around a little bit, looking for the longer play.
Yeah, and look at this. The Roche spawns on top of them. They have the hill, but the Treants come in. The vision goes through in speed, taken down first. This is not what you want to see, and now with the Ricky Cloud, they can't fight this. In DNM, he still doesn't have BKB. He's on the run.
Yep. He's just going to try to back away, looking for some damage onto Ari first, but that's only going to slow him down so that Saberlight can TP in. They've got the Gleipnir in. Solar Guardian is coming through, but it's not going to be enough. DNM is already dead, and now Speed with the buyback and the Solar Guardian. He's into the fight, but how much can he really do? They've taken down one as Ari will fall. Tomato does get cleaned up as well as the fight splits up all around the Roche pit, but Kits has to just lay out for that kill. It costs him his own life. TSM, they have control of the pit. They're not actually going to try to finish Roche. Instead, they're looking to take advantage of the numbers advantage that they've got. They killed 2 of the cores, forced a buyback from the 3rd, so there's no high ground defense. It just cannot happen.
No, this is just the immediate push in. Bryle is even looking to just go for that top wave and that top tier 3 as well. And sure, you got one more glyph left. I don't know if you're going to want to use it, and they'll probably save it for another full lane, but this is still just an incredibly awkward position to be in now. And of course, TSM don't even have to do this. They probably will not do this. They'll probably move back as soon as that Ricky's alive, and yeah, okay, time to go. They didn't get out that secondary glyph, so something for 5RAT to maybe play for in the team fight next time around, but I don't think there's really any way they get to this pit, and really they timed it out with the Panga respawn, just knowing that if there was any danger, it was going to come from Kits, but now we walk away, there's just no shot. They do even Agstrad back, but more importantly, they get another Aegis onto Bryle, who also has a fresh MKB. I mean, this Lena's a monster.
It's gonna get real tough for 5RAT in the near future as, well, Moonmeander did go back in to grab that shard. He is almost assuredly going to be passing it off to somebody, but for now he is the keeper. But TSM, I mean, they smell blood in the water at this point, right? They know that their opponents are maybe just 1 or 2 more fights away from just kind of toppling completely. As oh my god, Bryle. Well, that's a little bit aggressive there, but he's able to get himself away for the time being, and now Kits, you got to make sure that you're not overextending as well. Gets himself back into the base. And they did force Bryle to use his BKB on his first life, so that could come in handy in terms of potential high ground defense here, but the defense does have to come because Saberlight, he's already going to work.
Yeah, and they are going to pace themselves out here. They say we've got 4 minutes left on our Aegis. Sure, they don't have Rolling Thunder, but the BKB matters too much. And Tomato was already making waves to farm, so we decide to wait instead, farm the entire map, because our Nature's Prophet is allowed to do that. And 5RAT can't really do anything aside from take the scraps left to them getting pushed in. This has allowed DNM to finally finish off that BKB, though. So the Terrorblade, well, still not the prettiest, not the most farmed. Sad to be the most farmed on his team, but something for him to play around. Still a shocking lack of real armor or beef on anybody on 5RAT, but the only way they win this game at this point is if they get that perfect jump and that perfect execution of a TSM hero. Without it, they will just get ripped apart.
And now Tomato's got a Satanic, so realistically speaking, he can't be the target for the 5-rat aggression because they're just not going to be able to kill him off that quickly. But Tomato is not on a hero that you can just ignore. He's going to push his way in right now, force the issue. Lots of force staffs coming in to try and save AB1, but the Laguna will still take him down. He has a buyback available. He is going to pop it immediately as Kits, well, starting to run out of time on the Rolling Thunder. So they are trying to fall back and regroup. DNM got rooted up, so he's forced to use his BKB as well. This is already looking pretty bad. Speed falls. Multiple BKBs come out. Buyback had to be expended. Supports are still forced back, and one of them, in the form of Moose, gets just taken out entirely. And now, yeah, Sleep Dart onto Kits. Tomato, a delayed jump, but a jump all the same. They're just losing absolutely everyone. Maybe they get the Lina here, but he's still got Aegis, so who cares, really? And they don't even actually kill him. There we go. Swashbuckle will get the job done, but the cost is just too high. Alina's back up. They're pushing on to tier 4s. TSM, no. If nobody comes to stop us, we just take this game outright.
No, and there's absolutely nothing they can do. And yeah, the GGs will fly through just a little bit too clean. And I think, again, you have to look at the Ricky. You have to look at Ari first series with his team. But I think a beautiful draft to set it up, as well as Saberlight NP. I mean, back-to-back, pretty easy wins for him. You know, game 1 maybe feeds a little bit, but game 2 is solid as a rock. And again, I think this is probably the best crafted draft with that Ricky Maru. Just the most obnoxious hero you could have imagined. And really, they just never skipped a beat. And then sadly for 5RAT, now they do seed into that lower bracket. They've got a little bit less margin of error, but also just being, I think, again, a little bit too comfortable into those losing lane situations. And this time around, through exceptional play, they avoided that situation for the first 8 minutes or so. And then TSM, through pure virtue of them knowing what the pressure is, knowing how the map is to be played, knowing what they can do, they get the little tick ups, they get the items a little bit faster, they take the situation and then spin it on its head, and 5RAT just put themselves at a disadvantage that they didn't really have to. I think it's sad to say that 5RAT lost, you know, maybe 12, 13 minutes into this game, but as soon as TSM turned this game around, they never really looked back.
Yeah, we take a look at the graph at the end of that one. You can see just a clear and unimpeded shifting of any and all of that momentum. 5RAT survive, as you said, for 15 to 20, right? Still looking okay, but beyond that point, it's just unbelievably difficult for them to play. DNM 1-7 obviously did not get to have fun, and I do believe at the end of that ET, I think I still stand by it, he did not sunder one time in that game.
Yeah, there's no one to sunder. Everybody's got a BKB, everybody's on top of me. The pain, the suffering, you know, and just not a lot of farmer space for him to work with either. And that's something as well that I don't think 5RAT was ready for coming into this game. Anytime a hero showed, anytime there was some movement on the map, you were alone, TSM knew about it, and they killed you. It's where TSM's professionalism as a team, I think this was easily 5RAT's most difficult game, period, but also TSM just worked them. They did not allow you those mistakes that you got away with in the group stage.